Hey everyone, welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're doing something a little bit different and honestly a lot of fun. We are going to roll up our sleeves, act as senior design mentors, and completely overhaul a seriously frustrating, flawed mobile app. We'll be using universal principles of design to take this interface from a cluttered nightmare to an absolute dream to use. So if you've ever wondered about the secret math and psychology behind why you love your favorite apps, well, you are in the exact right place.
Okay, let's take a super quick look at today's game plan. First up, we're fixing a flawed app. Second, we'll hit the 80-20 rule. Third, layout and the golden ratio. Fourth, consistency and forgiveness. And finally, we'll wrap up by finalizing the user experience. This agenda is basically our step-by-step roadmap from total chaos to a clean, usable product.
All right, Section 1, Fixing a Flawed App and Diagnosing the UX Mess. We're kicking off our workshop by looking straight at our hypothetical app. And man, it is confusing. It's totally prone to user errors, visually overwhelming. Basically, every single button is screaming for your attention, and users are just getting completely lost. Now, for any design newcomers joining us, when we talk about creating a good user experience, or UX, we mean we absolutely must focus our resources efficiently to solve actual interaction problems. It's really all about achieving simplicity. We want to ensure anyone can pick this up and use it effortlessly, whether they're a total power user or literally just opening it for the first time. So we know the app is a total cluttered mess right now, but where on earth do we even begin decluttering? You know, it's so tempting to just dive in and try to fix everything at once. Change the colors, move the buttons, rewrite the copy. But hold on, we really need a strategic rule to identify the core features and cut out the noise before we touch anything else.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 2, the 80-20 rule and maximizing efficiency. This is our first major workshop tool, and trust me, it is gonna save us from wasting time on things our users don't actually care about.
Okay, so here's the absolutely crucial takeaway. Roughly 80% of a product's usage involves only 20% of its features. This rule tells us that in any large system, a huge percentage of effects come from a really small percentage of variables. In our messy app, our users are likely only touching a tiny fraction of the buttons we've crammed onto the screen. Think about everyday software interfaces for a second. They illustrate this concept beautifully. They literally hide the less important 80% of their functions away in drop-down menus. Why? Just to reduce the visual complexity. They keep only the most critical, frequently used 20% right there in the main toolbars. It's a total game changer. So let's apply this triage process to our app right now. Step 1, we assess everything. Step 2, we identify that critical 20% of features people actually use. In Step 3, we brutally minimize or just completely remove the remaining 80%. By focusing our energy here, we stop wasting effort on non-critical functions that just aren't giving us any real return.
Well, okay, we've removed the clutter. We've stripped it down to its essential 20%, but why does the screen still look kind of weird and off balance? Just cutting features actually isn't enough. We now have to take those remaining elements and arrange them so they actually look aesthetically pleasing and clear to the human eye.
Let's fix that in Section 3, layout and the golden ratio. We're going to bring balance to the interface by using a literal mathematical secret.
By tapping into the golden ratio for our layout, we are leveraging what many experts believe is a fundamental, subconscious human preference for aesthetic proportion. It approximates to exactly 0.618. It's this specific mathematical ratio that our brains are just subconsciously wired to perceive as natural and beautiful. And the wild thing is, once you know about this mathematical ratio, you see it everywhere in successful design. I mean, look at the ancient architecture of the Parthenon, or the iconic shape of a Stradivarius violin, or even the classic Apple iPod. They all use it. So we are going to size the primary viewing area of our app and its menus using this exact 0.618 ratio. But we can't stop there. We also need to direct the user's focus. Enter the figure-ground relationship. To make our main buttons really pop off the screen, we have to clearly differentiate them as the figures, the objects of focus, against a plain, undifferentiated ground. This practically eliminates perceptual confusion, so the user knows instantly exactly what to tap.
Check out this conceptual before and after. Before, in our flawed app, we had ambiguous elements, just mushing and blending together. Now, by applying the golden ratio for proportion and clear figure-ground distinction for our buttons, the app is finally starting to look super professional and visually stable.
All right, so the layout looks gorgeous now. But what happens when the user inevitably makes a mistake? Because let's face it, human error is completely unavoidable. A beautiful app that accidentally deletes your data is still, frankly, a terrible app. We need to build trust.
That brings us to Section 4, Consistency and Forgiveness. We are shifting gears here from how the app looks to how it actually reacts to human behavior to build trust and safety.
We really need to talk about the principle of forgiveness. When we incorporate forgiveness into a design, we're basically creating a safety net. It fosters this willingness for our users to explore and learn without fear. They get this sense of security knowing that one clumsy tap isn't going to ruin their whole day.
So here is your ultimate checklist for building a forgiving interface. We are adding reversibility right now, like a handy undo button, along with confirmation prompts. That way, if a user tries to, say, delete their entire profile, the app stops and verifies their intent before allowing that kind of critical action to happen.
And tying right into that, we're going to ensure our undo and play buttons use universally recognized symbols. We call this functional consistency. By using standard symbols that users already know from 100 other apps and devices, they instantly transfer that knowledge over to our app. It makes the learning curve basically zero.
Okay, we've decluttered, we've balanced the layout, and we've safeguarded the actions. We really put in the work today. So, what is the final result of this workshop? Let's take a step back and look at the dramatic transformation we've pulled off just by sticking to these universal principles.
Section 5, Finalizing the User Experience, or as I like to call it, the invisible art of good design. Let's review exactly how applying these specific principles totally resolved our mobile app nightmare. Because good design,
It's never an accident.
We have successfully transitioned from a highly frustrating user interface to a truly intuitive experience. It's focused thanks to the 80-20 rule. It's incredibly aesthetic because we leverage the golden ratio. And above all, it's safe because we intentionally built in forgiveness. You know, the source material quotes William Lidwell paraphrasing the great William Strunk, and it really hits the nail on the head. Yes, sometimes master designers can break the rules, but unless you are absolutely certain of doing as well, it is best to abide by the principles. Following them simply skyrockets the probability that your design will be successful. Because at the end of the day, when design is done perfectly, it's completely invisible to the user. They just know they love using the product. So which of these universal principles are you going to silently apply to your next project? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer workshop. Keep observing the designs around you, figure out why they work, and I will see you next time.